Uh-huh.
It's really interesting. A lot of them are just not looking at him at all, even though he's standing and
Right.
talking. That's really interesting.
Uh-huh.
And nobody's amused, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, they just thought it was puzzling that they would be out considering all the things that have been said in this war between Blake and Justin. So,
It looks like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds might not be the picture-perfect couple everyone thinks they are. Word on the street is, some celebs are finally spilling the tea on how these two tried to pull a fast one. And let's just say, folks are not happy. From shady business deals to sneaky Hollywood moves, the receipts are coming out, and it's not looking good for Blake and Ryan. What exactly did they do, and why are celebs calling them out now? Here's what's up. Okay, so things are starting to look pretty shady in Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's world right now, and the cracks are starting to show. Celebrities are coming out of the woodwork, throwing major shade on the couple and revealing that their squeaky, clean, perfect public image might just be a cover for something a lot messier. And trust me, this situation is about to blow up in a big way. It all started when Blake Lively made some serious allegations against her co-star and director Justin Baldoni from It Ends With Us. She accused him of harassment, which already had people talking. But then, as things started to unravel, a bunch of industry insiders began to question if Blake's claims were all they seemed. In the midst of the drama, Justin Baldoni filed a $400 million lawsuit against Blake and Ryan, accusing them of defamation, extortion, and trying to hijack the entire movie project. And now, it's not just Justin who's speaking out. Other celebrities are starting to back him up, suggesting that Ryan and Blake have a history of manipulating situations to get ahead and earn public sympathy. It's starting to look like their power couple persona might be hiding some dark manipulative tactics that have been used to get them ahead in the game. So while they've been the golden couple in Hollywood for years, this whole situation is slowly exposing them as scammers who've been playing a long con. Could this be the end of their perfect image? It's hard to say, but the cracks are definitely showing. First, let's start with Ryan. Okay, so you know how Ryan Reynolds always comes off as this super funny, lovable guy? Well, turns out not everyone's buying it. His real personality slipped through when he had a run-in with Jersey Shore stars Sammy Giancola and Dina Cortese. And let's just say, it wasn't giving nice guy. When the Jersey Shore cast was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, they were asked if they'd ever met a rude celeb. Sammy tried to be low-key about it because, let's be real, calling out big names in Hollywood can backfire real quick. But before she could dodge the question, Dina spilled the tea and straight up said they were talking about Ryan Reynolds. She tried to soften the blow, saying, "He wasn't great to us, but I still love Ryan and Blake Lively." But let's be real, if you have to say that, then something definitely went down. Sammy also hinted that Ryan might have just been having a bad day, but the fact that they even brought it up says a lot. And they're not the only ones who've been hesitant to name names when talking about rude celeb encounters. Even Rebecca Ferguson once shared how badly she was treated on set, but instead of naming names, she just described how traumatizing the experience was.
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star. And this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. And I think I was so vulnerable and comfortable that I got screamed at. And I would cry walking off set. This person would literally look at me in front of the whole crew and say, "You call yourself an actor, this is what I have to work with. What is this?" And I stood there just breaking. This happens. But because this person was number one on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me. So no one had my back. And I remember the next day I walked on and I said, "You get off my set." This is the first time I've ever spoken.
All right, so Rebecca opened up about a wild experience she had with a super rude co-star, and let me tell you, it was bad. She didn't drop any names, but the way she described it, yeah, it was intense. So here's what went down. Apparently, this mystery actor was super insecure about their performance and started taking it out on Rebecca, literally screaming at her in front of the entire crew and belittling her acting. Imagine getting yelled at on set just for doing your job. It got so bad that Rebecca said she would actually cry during filming. But listen, she didn't just take it, she clapped back. At one point, she straight up told this person to F off and even said she'd rather act with a tennis ball than deal with them. Whew. She also went as far as refusing to face them on set, asking to act to the back of their head instead. After her story blew up, a bunch of actors rallied behind her, including Dwayne Johnson, who gave her props for standing her ground. Some of her former co-stars even hit her up after the story went viral. Now, the big question is, who was this mystery actor? Well, Rebecca is keeping that locked up, saying it doesn't matter who it is. But just so y'all know, she made it very clear that it wasn't Tom Cruise or Hugh Jackman. It probably wasn't Ryan Reynolds either, although some are still convinced that it was him. But Rebecca isn't the only one who had beef with Ryan. Turns out Jake Gyllenhaal, who was once super tight with Ryan, has also distanced himself completely, and people think Ryan must have done something that crossed the line because Jake isn't even entertaining him anymore. And if that wasn't enough, we gotta talk about Morena Baccarin, aka the leading lady from Deadpool. Y'all remember how she went from being a major character in the first movie to basically disappearing in the sequel? Well, that wasn't random. Word on the street is that she had a falling out with Ryan on set, and after that, she was pushed to the sidelines. Not just in the movie, but in real life too. Get this, when Deadpool and Wolverine started making headlines, Morena was completely left out of all the press and events. And at the premiere, she was standing alone in the red carpet photos. Like, it was so obvious that people are saying it was all Ryan's doing. Allegedly, he didn't want her there because of their past drama. Messy, messy, messy. Now, what exactly went down between them? Some say it had to do with her role in the movie, or maybe even some jokes Ryan wanted to include and she wasn't here for it. But whatever the case, it looks like Ryan wasn't happy about being challenged. So he did what a lot of powerful Hollywood figures do. He made sure she was left out. And judging by how everyone else was all smiles around Ryan at the premiere, she didn't have much support either. Sound familiar? Because this is giving major Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and It Ends With Us vibes. Hollywood power moves at their finest.
But I think after he got super, super famous from the first Deadpool, then things kind of changed. I think he was like, see, you guys see. And then I think I don't know. I mean, would I work with him again? No.
No.
I would not work with him
That
again.
much vitriol.
But I've said that about Michael Bay, and now we're friends, and I would work with him again. But I think Michael Bay is different. And Michael Bay worked on a movie with Ryan Reynolds also. And so he has a very specific opinion
That may mirror
of
your
Ryan
own.
Reynolds. And that was a good part of our last conversation with me and Bay. But I sort of wish him well because he's so good at Deadpool. And I think it's weird that he hates me.
Oh, but we're not done yet because Ryan's list of burned bridges just keeps growing. Another Deadpool co-star, TJ Miller, also had a lot to say about working with Ryan, and none of it was good. TJ, who played Weasel in the franchise, straight up said he left the films because of Ryan and wouldn't come back for Deadpool 3 even if they doubled his paycheck. Now that's personal. He even made it clear that he'll never work with Ryan again because the way he was treated on set was so bad he never got over it. And before anyone tries to brush it off as a joke, TJ insists Ryan wasn't being funny. He was deliberately trying to put him down with no remorse. TJ couldn't understand why Ryan had such a problem with him, especially since he was just playing a minor character. But he thinks the real reason is Ryan's own insecurities. It wasn't about anything TJ did, it was about Ryan needing to remind him who the bigger star was.
But you felt it coming from him.
Everybody did. That's why it was awkward. Everybody was like, why is Ryan doing this? And the other weird thing is like, maybe he got, I think he's kind of an insecure dude. He's really nice, but I mean, his Twitter bio is showing you the parts of me that tested the best in focus groups. And I'm not sure that he's joking.
So-
I think that might actually be his real sentiment there.
And let's be real. This isn't the first time Ryan's been called insecure. Even his exes have said the same thing. In fact, his insecurities left scars on his ex-wife, and the way things ended between them was messy. But back to Deadpool, because TJ wasn't the only one who had issues with Ryan. Tim Miller, the original Deadpool director, walked away from the franchise, and guess what? It was because of Ryan. Tim said Ryan was so possessive over the films that it made it impossible to work with him. He explained that Ryan wanted total control over the franchise, and when Tim pushed back, Ryan made sure he was pushed out. Tim put it bluntly, "I don't mind having a debate, but if I can't win, I don't want to play." And with Ryan calling all the shots, he knew it was time to go. So when Ryan isn't pushing directors out of their own projects or alienating his co-stars, he's apparently doing the same thing in his romantic relationships. Just look at how things played out with Scarlett Johansson, because that marriage was a disaster. Oh, this is where things get real messy, because Scarlett Johansson did not hold back when it came to why her marriage to Ryan fell apart. So, let's rewind. Started dating in 2007, got engaged within a year, and then tied the knot in 2008. Fast forward a couple of years, and things fell apart. Fast. Now here's the interesting part. Their marriage just so happened to start crumbling around the same time Scarlett's career skyrocketed with major Marvel roles like Iron Man 2 and The Avengers. And according to Scarlett, this wasn't just a coincidence. Ever since they split, she's been dropping hints about what really went down, and the two words that keep coming up, jealousy and insecurity. At one point, Scarlett flat out said, "I don't like jealous behavior. I don't mind an occasional check-in, but when somebody is passive-aggressively jealous, it's unattractive because it shows insecurity. Controlling behavior is awful. Nobody's going to say they love that." Now, we already know Ryan loves to be in control. Just look at how he took over Deadpool and drove the director out. And apparently, he was the same way in his marriage. With Scarlett landing major Marvel deals while Ryan was struggling with his career, it makes perfect sense why Scarlett believes her success was one of the reasons their marriage fell apart. She even said, "The logistics of being with another actor are challenging. There has to be a real understanding of how you share your time, especially when two people's careers are going at the same rate. Even if one person is more successful than the other, that also proves challenging. There may be a competitive thing." So basically, Scarlett was out here securing blockbuster roles, and Ryan wasn't handling it well. And if that wasn't enough, she went even further, calling her experience with Ryan as volatile and heavily implying that Ryan's insecurities ruined things. She even said, "There will always be a more successful person in a marriage, but Ryan never wanted to be the least successful one." And now comes the real tea, Blake Lively. Ryan met Blake on the set of Green Lantern while he was still married to Scarlett, and apparently their chemistry was undeniable, so much so that they couldn't even keep it together on set. So while Ryan was already losing control of his marriage to Scarlett thanks to his ego and jealousy, it became way too easy for him to latch onto Blake in an unhealthy way, which ultimately destroyed his marriage. It just seems that with Ryan, the word insecure is popping up more than ever, and we can't ignore how often it comes up in his ex's stories. Honestly, if there's this much talk about it, it's too much of a coincidence to be made up, right? But that's not all. Let's talk about how Ryan's track record in Hollywood isn't exactly winning him any fans either. Filmmakers are literally scared to work with Ryan because he's known for taking over their projects and basically hijacking them. For example, Quentin Tarantino is not a fan of Ryan. He flat out said he's not about to work with him because in his eyes, Ryan is just a well-paid actor with zero quality projects under his belt. He didn't hold back when he said that every Netflix movie earns about 50 million bucks, yet he's never heard of them and he thinks that most people feel the same. Basically, Quentin's calling out Ryan's entire filmography saying, "Yeah, cool, you're making money, but your movies don't even matter. They're forgettable." Oof, major shade thrown by a guy who has no interest in working with streaming services like Netflix. But Ryan's made films like Six Underground, Red Notice, and The Adam Project for them recently. But hold up, because things get even juicier when we get into Chris Columbus, the director of Home Alone. Ryan tried to reboot Home Alone, but not just any reboot, a stoner version called Stoned Alone. It's about a weed-growing guy who misses his flight and then has a bunch of thieves break into his house. Yes, this was the actual plot idea. Chris Columbus flipped out. He was fuming over the idea, calling it an insult to the art of cinema. He straight up told Ryan to forget it and just watch the original because the idea of turning it into a stoner flick was disrespectful. And I get it. This is Home Alone we're talking about, not some random Netflix movie. Chris wasn't here for it, but wait, there's more. Other celebs have jumped on this anti-Ryan bandwagon too, calling his movies garbage. Gerard Butler low-key threw shade when his film Gamer was compared to Ryan's Free Guy. Both movies revolve around virtual reality, but when Gerard was asked about the similarities, he responded, "I don't know what Free Guy is." Then, when the interviewer mentioned that it's Ryan's movie, Gerard didn't hesitate, saying, "I don't watch Ryan Reynolds films." Now that's major shade. So basically, Ryan's movies aren't just being dismissed by Quentin Tarantino. Chris Columbus thinks Ryan's ideas are insulting, and Gerard Butler just made it clear he's not a fan either. Honestly, when this many people start throwing shade, you've got to start asking, is there more to the story? Is Ryan really as insecure as his exes say? Or is it just a Hollywood thing? Either way, he's definitely rubbing some big names the wrong way. Just check this weird SNL appearance and say that it ain't so.
Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard? Yeah, okay. My question is that, you know that the materials that they made the cone heads with, are those edible?
Edible? No, and based on them being made in 1975, I'd assume that they're highly toxic.
Oh, okay. So if somebody, hypothetically took a couple of nibbles backstage and, got excited, should they go to the hospital or should they?
Yes, they should go to the hospital right away.
Good.
Blake and Ryan's appearance on Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary special has turned into yet another PR disaster. They were obviously trying to manipulate the public and control the narrative while they're stuck in the middle of their legal mess. Ryan made a joke about his ongoing legal drama with Justin Baldoni, and Blake was playing along, but the timing of it felt way off. It was awkward, especially with everything that's been going on with the harassment claims. This little stunt didn't sit right with a lot of fans who called it damage control and a bad attempt to make themselves seem more likable amid the chaos. Even Justin's lawyer jumped in, questioning how anyone would joke about these kinds of allegations. At the end of the day, it looks like this couple's perfect image is starting to crumble, and their attempts to cover it up just aren't landing the way they hoped. What do you think about the fact that Blake and Ryan might have been nothing but scammers all this time? Did you suspect something before the others? Let us know about it down in the comment section.